Hello, hello, and welcome to Hot Tea with Holly. I am Holly, and I am having a hot cup of tea today. How are you? Happy Tuesday. If you are here with me live, please say hello. And if you're watching this in playback or in recording, I hope you will also reach out and say hello. You can always reach me at holly@hollyperkins.com. If you are catching this on YouTube for the first time, today we are talking about, pause, we are talking about 3 steps in 3 days to release 3 pounds so you can feel lighter and tighter ASAP. And now I realize that is quite a lofty proposition, but it's the truth. And this is not just me coming up with something that sounds really, really great. This is actually a concept that I have taken from watching so many of my private clients and women in my community actually go through these specific steps and literally release anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds in 3 days to 5 days. So all within about a week. It's so nearly effortless and easy to just release some of the weight if you're following these 3 steps. Now, of course, it's not like simple as that. And please understand that this actually is not a lose weight fast proposition at all. Really, the approach here is that if you use these 3 steps, and certainly in the first 3 days, but if you were to continue with these concepts, these 3 steps that I'm going to share with you today, this is the foundation of everything that I teach. Absolutely everything. This is the cornerstone, the actual foundation. Thank you. The actual foundation of what I teach. And as you practice these steps and continue them on and on, it really can become a very sustainable way to feel better, improve your energy, release any water or inflammation that your body may be holding on to. And yes, even if ultimately your goal is to lose weight, this is a great way to at least lay the foundation so that you can understand what needs to happen to shift your body. So welcome. If you are here with me live, please say hello. I am drinking today PG Tips, no maple syrup, if you can believe it. And if you can hear in my voice that something is going on, I'm going to share with you a couple of alternative health tips that I'm using this week to remedy a pretty serious allergy flare-up. So welcome. If you're here with me live, are you having a cup of tea? Are you having a cup of coffee? I'm going to tell you guys a dirty little secret. So I am in Los Angeles. As you can tell, I'm not in my studio. And when I'm in Los Angeles, I generally spend most of my time with my best friend. And she surprised me with an espresso machine. So I've been having oat milk lattes every single day since I got here, which is such a treat and is so wonderful and is so amazing. But the challenge for me is lately when I've been coming to Los Angeles, I've been getting a flare up of really bad allergies. Now, not to go off on a tangent, I very much believe those of you guys that suffer from allergies, it really is a gut permeability issue. I don't want to start a controversy. I don't want to get into a big conversation around it, but absolutely without a doubt, it's a gut permeability issue. And I know that I have this issue. I know that I've got an autoimmune disorder. And so when I get walloped with allergies like this, I have to clean up my diet. And as soon as I go super strict on my diet, this will go away. One of the things that I have to do that really works when I get hit with allergies like this is to cut out all additional sugars. So if you know me, you know that my PG Tips usually includes the maple syrup. But as of today, I'm cutting out all the sugar, all grains, all dairy. And eventually I'm going to have to cut back on the coffee. But right now I'm really enjoying and loving the espresso. So welcome. If you are here, say hello. Hi, Tenjun. How are you? For those of you guys that are in the know, my deep insiders, this past weekend here, as we're shooting this, it's the end of February, now the beginning of March. This past weekend, I actually held my first in-person event in the past 4 years, I think. It's been 4 years. Let's see, it was 3 years? No, Yeah, in the past, I have not had a live person in-person event for 3 years. And this past weekend, I hosted all of my masters here in Los Angeles. We had a glorious, unbelievable, incredible weekend. And June, you've got that to look forward to. Heidi's going to be coming back for round 2 in August, which is super, super exciting. So all of my masters that are here, Rona, if you are here, Lois is here. Lois, no tea today. What? So I'm enjoying the peachy tips, and I got to tell you, the zero sugar actually tastes really, really good today. Let's jump in. Today, we are talking about 3 steps in 3 days to release 3 pounds. It's a real thing. All right, now listen up. It's a real thing. In fact, I have had several occasions where women have come into my community, have joined me for one of my free challenges or my free workshops, and have dropped 5 to 7 pounds in about 5 to 10 days. This is a common occurrence for me. Now, that doesn't mean just because you can release 3 or 5 or 7 pounds in a quick period of time, that doesn't mean that you're going to lose 3 or 5 or 7 pounds every single week for the rest of your life. It doesn't work like that. However, if you are shifting your behaviors and your actions and your habits, and you shift them in the right direction, that first 7 to 10 days can be super duper productive. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you in a moment, these 3 steps are things that you can do. And within 3 days, and it might take till that 4th day, you're going to notice a release of water, a release of inflammation. You're going to notice that your digestion is better. Your tummy is less bloated. And it's the catalyst for you taking all of the other actions to start moving forward in the direction that you want to go. This conversation is for you. If you've ever gotten to the point where you're just like, I've had it. I feel awful. I feel fluffy. I feel gross. I overindulged, or I had a big event, or I just haven't been eating the foods that I know work well for my body. And you get to that point where you're just like, I've had enough. Stop. I'm taking action. Radical action, and I'm going to shift my physiology so that in 3 days, I feel better. That is all it takes. I personally have done it over and over and over and over and over. When I get to the point where I'm in enough pain, like I am right now with my allergies, I am motivated to take radical action. So the biggest question is, if you're here with me live, this might not apply to you, but if you're watching this in playback, the biggest question is, how sick of it are you? How sick of yourself are you? How tired are you of being tired? And how fed up are you with what you're unhappy about? Because once you feel enough pain, chances are you're going to be motivated to take the actions that you've got to take to create change. Now, listen, creating the body that you need to keep up with this life that you love sometimes is not easy. Taking actions and creating new habits can be very hard in the beginning. And then once you get that momentum rolling, it gets a whole lot easier. And that is what we are going to be talking about today in these 3 steps. So after today's conversation, you're going to know, boom, 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 these 3 steps. And if you start them today or tomorrow, you've got that light at the end of the tunnel to say, if I can just do this for 3 days, I'm going to feel a whole lot better in 3 days. And then you've shifted your momentum. You've moved in the direction that you want to go in. And it's going to be a whole lot easier to keep your good habits going. That's what we're talking about today. And welcome if you're here with me live. Hi, how are you? Are you having a hot beverage? Okay, Tracy Jones is having Q Sport Tiger Punch flavored, Tiger Punch flavored, Q Sport Tiger Punch flavored. It boosts physical and mental energy. It's a water packet. I love it. I actually started my day with an Ultima Replenisher. I don't have my packet here today, but I really needed a good solid hydration drink today. And so I started with an Ultima Replenisher lemonade flavor before I had my double espresso oat milk latte, brought to you courtesy of Shay Jill in Los Angeles. And now I'm just following it up with my huge my PG Tips black tea, which I absolutely love. Let's see. Okay. Heidi is having plain old peppermint tea, which just is so amazing. I had a cup of peppermint tea last night. So good. Sammy, Puka Black Currant Beauty. I love it. With almond flour pancakes with raspberries on top, sugar-free. So maybe you'd like one, Holly. I absolutely would. That sounds amazing. So almond flour pancakes. I think you need to share that recipe with me. Is there no flour in it at all? If so, Sammy, is it Elizabeth, is it eggs, almond flour, and banana? I'm going to take a guess. That's what's in your almond flour pancakes. Do share because I know, again, just to not go off on too much of a tangent around seasonal allergies, and those of you guys that suffer from a variety of allergies, listen, I'm going to do you a favor, whether you agree with me or not. I hope to plant a seed for you. If you suffer from allergies, it's a gut permeability issue. It's a leaky gut issue. And I realize you may not agree with me. You might say, Holly Perkins has no idea what she's talking about. But if I was able to bring you into my incubator and feed you a certain diet for about 2 weeks, I would get rid of your allergies. I've done it many times with my clients. I've done it numerous times with myself. If you change your diet, you change your life. You change your body. You change your physiology. Gut health is everything. The quality and the responsiveness of your very sensitive gut and alimentary canal, your just digestive system in general, absolutely does have a huge impact on allergies. So if you want to follow along, my allergies were at their peak yesterday. Today, they're already better because I cleaned up my diet. I'm going really strict on my diet today, with the exception of espresso. And I guarantee my allergies are going to be better today. And if I really want to knock them out altogether, I get rid of the coffee completely. And I switch to either no caffeine or just a very easy, light, gentle green tea. Knocks it out every single time in about 5 to 10 days. Let's get back on topic. Today, we are talking about, oh, wait, sorry, quick interruption. Elizabeth, almond flour, eggs, and Greek yogurt. Exactly. So I would switch that because I don't do dairy. Almond flour, eggs, could do it. But that's amazing, Elizabeth. Good for you. Today, we're talking about 3 steps to release 3 steps in 3 days to release 3 pounds. It's a real thing. So you can feel lighter and tighter ASAP. But before we jump in, we are on the precipice of my brand new free 3-day live Learn to Eat workshop coming up imminently. You do not want to miss this. If you have joined me for the Learn to Eat challenge in the past, this is a different Learn to Eat workshop. I'm going to be teaching you all of the basics and the fundamentals of the approach to nutrition that I use to help my clients shift their body like that. Whether your goal is to lose weight or to become healthier, to eliminate allergies, to feel better, to improve digestive health, or to reduce your body fat so that you are a leaner, meaner fighting machine. The totally free 3-day live Learn to Eat workshop is coming up. In a moment, I will have a more proper sign-up procedure, but for you right now, if you're watching this, come on over to my website, hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Just throw your email address in there, and it's going to put you on the list so that you can be notified of the free Learn to Eat workshop that's coming up. Now, it's going to look like you're putting yourself on the wait list for the Nutrition Project, and in many ways you are. The Learn to Eat workshop is going to lead into the next live round of the Nutrition Project, which is my 12-week comprehensive nutrition course that will help you go from where you are to optimal energy, releasing body weight, feeling better forever, and completely crushing hunger and cravings so that you can create the body that you need to keep up with the life that you love. So come over to hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Just put your name and your email on the list. And within the next probably 5 days, I will be sending you more information, more specifically on the free 3-day Learn to Eat workshop coming up. Let's jump in. 3 steps in 3 days to release 3 pounds so that you can feel lighter and tighter ASAP. Step number 1, use a food tracking device, an app like MyFitnessPal or MyPlate or whatever food tracking app that you use. Get out your phone, open it up, set it up, and promise yourself for the next 3 days, you are going to log everything that you eat and drink in proper proportions and proper measurements into your food tracking app. That's the beginning of step 1. You've got to start with tracking what you're doing. So many people think that they could just say, Holly, say, quit eating dairy and sugar and grains and you'll change your life. And while that's true, a key part of it is knowing and tracking and measuring what you're actually doing so that you can change it. Step number 1 to release 3 pounds in 3 days is to start tracking what you're eating, what you're drinking for these 3 days. And I want you to start to observe your macronutrient distribution. How many carbohydrates are you eating today? How much protein are you eating today? And how much fat are you eating today? And if you haven't been using a specific strategy, most likely you're going to find your fat is very high. You might also find that your protein is very low. This is super common. And if you're not tracking it from a scientific, accurate place, you won't know for real what you're doing. And once you get a handle on what you are doing, you're going to start to use that diet tracking app to shift the foods that you're eating so that you start choosing foods that provide your body with 40% of your daily calories coming from carbohydrates. That's right, 40%. Now, if you're part of my community, you know generally I'm a proponent of 50%. But for today's conversation, which is specifically 3 steps to release 3 pounds in 3 days, it's a different prescription. It's a different recommendation. So step number 1 is to get your food tracker out, start entering everything you're eating and drinking, and manipulate the foods that you're eating and drinking so that you're giving your body 40% of today's calories coming from carbohydrates, 30% of today's calories coming from protein, and 30% of today's calories coming from fat. And if you start to eat the foods that provide those key macronutrients in this ratio, you're going to feel better by tomorrow. That's not hyperbole. It's legit. In fact, if you're someone like me who is very aware of the subtle shifts in your biology, if you construct a beautiful lunch or dinner today that's 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 30% fat, you're going to feel better after one meal. Can you imagine if you compound that over 3 days? This is exactly how you will radically shift your biology to feel better, but to also release 3 pounds in 3 days. And yes, some of those pounds will be water. Potentially all of those pounds will be water, but who cares? It's the catalyst to shift you in a very different place. And it's also going to show you how profound it is when you shift your nutrition and how it impacts your body. Step number 1, use a food tracker. And starting today, start eating 40% of your daily calories coming from carbohydrates, 30% of your daily calories coming from protein, and 30% of your daily calories coming from fat. It is a major game changer. If you're here and you're popping in with me live, please say hello. How are you today? Tell me what is going on. What's new? Are you having a hot beverage? Hi, Tish Ray. I am having good old H2O. Good for you. I pounded about 48 ounces, almost 40, not quite 48 ounces, about 36 ounces of water today already. And it's only 10 a.m. on the East Coast because I was like, I need to hydrate my body big time. So I so hear you. Water is always such an important thing to be having each day. You got to hydrate. And in particular, as we're talking about today's topic, it's also really smart to be drinking a lot of water when you're using the strategies that I'm teaching you today to follow these 3 steps so that you can release 3 pounds in 3 days. It really is a thing. Step number 2. After step number 1, after you've started tracking what you're eating and you are eating and choosing the foods that give you 40% of your daily calories coming from carbohydrates and 30% of your daily calories coming from protein, the next thing you're going to do is focus on lean protein, vegetables, and a little bit of fruit. And that is it. You're going to focus the majority of your calories from these food sources only. This means fish, chicken, turkey, lean beef. This could be egg whites. This could be some eggs. It could be tofu or tempeh if you're more vegan. This could also be protein powders if you don't eat a lot of animal products or if you don't like to eat meat. Your lean sources of protein will be limited to fish, chicken, turkey, lean meat. It could be pork. It could be lean beef. It could be protein powders and any of your vegan protein options. Vegetables, a variety of high quality vegetables. Oh, by the way, corn is not a vegetable. It's actually a grain. Lots of vegetables, even including those things like sweet potatoes, squash, potentially maybe some beans or some legumes if they work for you, and a little bit of fruit, 1 to 2 small servings of fruit per day. In other words, this means that you're going to pass up the sugar, the grains, and the dairy. And oh, by the way, I think it goes without saying you got to give up the alcohol for these 3 days. Now, alcohol technically is what we refer to as a super sugar. It's a sugar. Alcohol is a sugar. I know that your doctor may have told you that it's so good for heart health and it's a superfood and it's really good for you. It's really not. And if you're committed to losing and releasing 3 pounds in 3 days, you got to get rid of the alcohol as well. So step number 2 is that you're going to focus on lean protein, vegetables, and a little bit of fruit. And that is it. Get rid of the sugar, get rid of the grains, get rid of the dairy. Oh, by the way, I know this question is going to come up. Please hear me loud and clear, loud and clear. Today's conversation is very specifically about helping you learn the 3 steps to release 3 pounds in 3 days. I'm not telling you you should never eat grains. I'm not telling you you should never eat dairy. I'm not telling you that sugar is bad. Today's conversation is hyper-focused on this specific strategy. This is one strategy amidst a sea of other nutritional strategies. And that's exactly why I do my free 3-day Learn to Eat workshop, is because there I'm going to teach you more about the bigger picture in terms of strategy, so that you can really address what you need in the long term, so that you can eat in a sustainable way to release weight sustainably, if that's your goal, or to just feel better, or to just stop feeling so tired, or to get rid of the cravings that really have a handle on you later at night, those cravings that are derailing your diet efforts. So do make sure you join me for the free Learn to Eat workshop, because that's where I talk bigger strategy, sustainable strategy, long-term health habits that you can use to ultimately get the body that you want. Because even if you do release 3 pounds in the 3 days following this strategy, that doesn't mean that you're going to do that for the rest of your life. So step number 2, specifically for this strategy, 3 steps in 3 days to release 3 pounds, is focus on lean proteins. That means proteins that are low in fat. Lean protein means proteins that are low in fat. Eggs are technically not a lean protein. Eggs are technically predominantly fat. Peanut butter, almond butter, and nuts are not lean proteins. They are fat. They are sources of fats that have some protein in them. So lean proteins, fish, seafood, chicken, turkey, lean beef, 80%, 90% lean beef. It could be pork if you eat pork. It could be any of your vegan options, soy and tempeh. It could be protein powders. Lean protein means it's lower in fat. Lots of vegetables and a little bit of fruit, 1 to 2 servings per day. Step number 3 of the 3 steps today that you can use in the next 3 days to release 3 pounds or potentially even more is a little different. Focus on moderate workouts, not intense workouts, moderate workouts that promote a sweat. Whatever that is for you, it could be yoga, it could be walking, hiking, cardio, elliptical, dance. It could potentially be a spinning class, provided it's not too intense. But often people think, oh, I'm going to lose 3 pounds in the next 3 days. And they go out for like a 5-mile intense run. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on moderate workouts that emphasize and promote a sweat for you. Alongside of this step number 3, obviously, is to make sure you're drinking enough water. Really get a lot of water in, because that's going to help to promote the release so that you can get rid of these 3 pounds of water retention, inflammation. Some of it could be fat in 3 days. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you do this right, you could lose a pound of fat in 3 days. Absolutely. If you're doing all 3 of these steps. And yes, some of that release is going to be water, but who cares? Can you imagine if 3 days from today you lost 3 pounds? Wouldn't you feel a whole lot better? That's the whole strategy. That is what we're talking about here today, is to give you some tools just to feel better, to jumpstart your efforts so that you can feel better, so that you'll then feel more optimistic and more empowered to take the other actions you need to take to keep this momentum going. So this is really a momentum builder. This is a jump start. This is something you can do if you're at the point where you're just like, I've had it, I'm done. I need to make some changes now. I feel terrible, just like me. So I woke up a couple days ago and I was just like, okay, my allergies were so bad that I was so motivated to do whatever I had to do to shift it. And already within a day or 2, I feel better because I've had to change my behaviors, my habits that impact the reasons why I'm suffering. So whatever your habits are that have contributed you to not feeling so good with where your body is at this time, whatever the factors are that have contributed and led to you wanting to shift your body so that you feel better in a few days, what we're talking about today is going to help you shift those habits. And in order to shift those habits to change your body, you got to shift your habits. So you got to kind of do the things that are hard, right? Change is hard. But if you want to get out of whatever is causing you suffering right now, you've got to take different action. And the more radical the action, the more radical the results. And so the 3 steps that I'm sharing with you today are a bit radical. It's going to be rough for 3 days, maybe, maybe not, but it's going to be certainly different than what you've been doing, but it works. And you're going to update me in 3 days how much better you feel and how wonderful it felt and boosted your spirit to see yourself get rid of and just release 3 pounds that you don't need. You're going to feel less bloated. You're going to feel less fluffy. You're going to feel lean and mean and tighter. You're going to feel so much better. And how great does it feel to be lighter and tighter like that? All it takes is 3 days. This is not hyperbole. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. It's not. It works. You just got to take the action. Any questions today? Tracy, what would you consider low fat for protein? And I realize that I may have already covered that because I just see your question now, but just in case I didn't, and for those of you guys that are wondering the same thing, I'll go over it again. So low fat protein. Now, keep in mind for a moment that step number 2 suggested that you avoid sugar, dairy, and grains. You got to keep that in mind, okay? Because a low-fat protein source is Greek yogurt, like Sammy is having today in her almond flour pancakes. So Greek yogurt, especially like a 1%, a 2%, or a non-fat Greek yogurt, is a low-fat protein. It is a low-fat protein. But in the context of what I'm teaching today, I'm also encouraging you to avoid dairy for these 3 days. So therefore, you wouldn't want to use a low-fat Greek yogurt, even though it is high in protein. So for the purposes of today's conversation, specifically, the low-fat sources of protein that I'm referring to are fish, seafood. So you could do scallops, shrimp, fish, chicken, turkey, pork, venison if you're someone who eats venison. I do. Venison to me is the most perfect food ever. It could be low-fat beef. So you'd want an 80 or a 90% lean beef, not just like a ground hamburger. You would want an 80 or a 90% ground hamburger or some of the more lean cuts of beef if you're someone who eats beef. It could also be tofu or tempeh if you're vegan. It could also be protein powders. Those are your options for low-fat protein, according to today's conversation, okay? And now if you're just wanting to know what a low-fat protein is, egg whites are also a low-fat protein source. And you could also include Greek yogurt as a low-fat protein source, but specifically for today, I'm also encouraging you on this conversation to avoid dairy. Dairy, for many people, can be very inflammatory. It can be very, it causes your body to react, and it can be very inflammation causing. And inflammation, you guys, really is just water retention. It's swelling, it's irritation. And dairy can be very inflammatory. It was huge for me. And whenever I get a flare up of an allergies, I got to go 0 dairy. I pretty much avoid dairy for the most part anyway, as it is. But sometimes I'll get a little lazy. I'll have a little whole milk latte here and there because I love it. And so if I really, really, really want to shift how I feel or my health, I really do have to take the dairy out 100%. So Tracy, I'm assuming that probably answers your question. What number of grams, etc.? If we use protein powder, what should we look for? So this is a wonderful question, Tracy. Thank you for asking this. When I do my free Learn to Eat workshop soon, I'm going to be going over a lot of these specifics. Specifically, what are the numbers here? But step number 1 in today's conversation, as I said, is to use a diet tracking device, a diet tracking app like MyFitnessPal, so that you can start to look at, according to the number of relative to the number of calories that you're eating in a day, you want 30% of those calories to be coming from protein. And so what that means, Tracy, is there's not really a hard and fast answer to the number of grams, because ultimately what we want is, I want you to be getting 30% of your daily calories coming from protein. And so depending on how many calories you're eating, it will tell you how many grams of protein in a day that you will eat. For example, let's say you're eating 1,400 calories a day, Tracy, okay? We want 30% of those calories to come from protein. That's 420 calories per day in the form of protein. We divide that by 4, and that's about 105 grams of protein per day. Divide that up by 3 meals, and that would be 35 grams of protein per meal. You could also divide that by 4, and it would be 26 grams of protein if you eat 4 times per day. So it's a bit of a mathematics play, but that's exactly why I want you using a diet tracking device, so that you can it will calculate and track your macronutrients, so that you're getting 40% of today's calories from protein. Sorry, 30% of today's calories coming from protein, 40% coming from carbohydrates. And it's all relative to how many calories you're eating in a day. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about in the Learn to Eat workshop. Come on over to hollyperkins.com/waitlist. Just put your name there, okay? This is simply a device so that you can share your email address with me, so that in the coming week, I will notify you when the Learn to Eat workshop is starting. Okay. Ultimately, we are leading up to a new round of the Nutrition Project. And if you're unfamiliar, the Nutrition Project is my 12-week online digital live experience where I'm going to walk you through 12 weeks of how to eat so that you can reduce hunger, eliminate cravings, improve energy, and if your goal is to release extra body fat and lose weight on the scale, that absolutely is a big part of it, in addition to really supplying your body with the fuel that makes you feel amazing. Because when you feel amazing, it's a whole lot easier to lose weight. You're going to exercise better, which is going to help you to lose weight. When you exercise better, you feel better, your stamina is better, and what I teach inside of the Nutrition Project also really helps to improve overall digestion and gut health. It is my comprehensive course on nutrition so that you can become the boss of your body, so that you know exactly what your body needs in order to achieve exactly what it is you want. Any other final questions? Rona, hello. Rona says, best program ever. Rona is actually one of our shining graduates from the Nutrition Project. Rona, thank you so much for that. So glad that you are here. Rona, I mean, I know our relationship started during the Nutrition Project, and you really, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like you lost like something like 27 pounds or something crazy through our 12 weeks in the Nutrition Project. And I know obviously you've continued that since then, but wow, you were definitely like one of the bright shining superstars from the last round of the Nutrition Project. I'm so glad you're here. Heidi, if eggs are problematic, is it basically the whole egg or the whites or the yolks? Heidi, generally it's the whites are the problem, not the yolk. The problem is the protein is in the whites, the fat is in the yolk. There's a little bit of protein in the yolk, but the majority of protein in an egg is coming from the egg white, and generally it's the egg white that's a problem for those of us that are sensitive to eggs. Tracy, will we get notification if already receiving your emails, or do we still need to add to the list? Tracy, if you're already receiving my emails, you will receive notification. You don't need to additionally sign up yet. You will down the road need to officially sign up for the free workshop. But if you get if you got my email this morning, you will get a notification prompting you to officially sign up for the Learn to Eat workshop. And that's what will be coming up here soon, very, very soon. I know I've been like teasing this for a long period of time, but it's because there's a lot of moving parts and we're getting everything ready. That is it for today. So glad to have you here with me today. If you're watching this in playback, please say hello. You can always send me an email at holly@hollyperkins.com. And I can't wait to see every single one of you for the Learn to Eat workshop that's coming up. It's going to be groundbreaking. It's going to change your life. I know that sounds like hyperbole. It's huge. And I can say that because I've had so many women in my community say it was, quote, life-changing. This is a game changer. What you're going to learn for completely free in my Learn to Eat workshop. It's coming up soon, so stay tuned. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.